just for everyone's reference, there's not gonna be any bonus content this week. Just point of frame. We are live though. If you guys want to see,
I got my notification.
Hell yeah! I did not even open Audacity before we went live.
Damn.
Tells you how fucking ready I am for this shit.
You were on fire.
He's on fire.
I also got the notification.
Hey everybody, test. Hey, check. Logan, Jared, hit me with a bar.
I am the art, damn it.
I'm just gonna check it as well.
Fuck. But
Quentin Hoffman.
I didn't say that.
What?
Got the notification. Hey everybody. All right. Sounds fun. All right. Now that was your bonus content, everyone.
You're welcome.
This is the show. You got a little bit extra. Just from me to you as a personal favor. I'll take that as actually. Hey, bass. It's like the low frequencies. Take out the bass. Take in the bass.
Sure. I'll buy it.
No treble.
I'm all about that bass, yeah.
Yeah. I was looking for that. All about the.
Shout out to Megan Trainor, right, Trev?
Maybe not.
Wow. Okay, that's a tough crowd here. All right, I guess we're
I'm
gonna.
a Katy Perry fan.
Ooh.
I like Katy
Teenage
Perry.
Dream. Katy Perry, I love.
Roar.
I liked I Kissed a Girl. I'll shout to that.
You don't have to get as close looking.
Shout out to Snoop Dogg, who ruined the rest of his career in that feature.
Who really?
Was
He's-
Snoop
I
Dogg
feel
or
like-
Snoop Lion during that period?
That's a good question. Maybe he had a different gimmick.
I'm pretty sure it was pre-line.
Where's he at? He
Pre-line?
did. He did a gospel album. Does he?
He
Have,
did,
Did he
gospel.
really?
He did recently, actually.
He did. Does he have a new brand for that? Or
I don't think so. I think it's just Snoop Dogg, the preacher.
Although he's only on like 4 songs.
That's all he's got. That's all he's got for God.
That's all he's got for God.
Remember when DMX was going to be a preacher?
I do.
I really wish like I followed DMX ever at all at any point in my life.
It's.
I feel like I missed out every single time I hear about some shit he got up
You
to.
might have.
Yeah.
DMX's
bummer.
stories from a distance are really wild.
Okay.
When you're there, it's probably scary.
Did you see the video of DMX hearing about Frank Ocean?
No.
And, like, his reaction was just like amazing. Be like, what do you mean? He's like gay. Like, I don't get. And then like he's just, like he like couldn't understand it. And it's like him in the car being like, what? Like, what does that mean? Like, I don't get it. And it's like the best video I've ever seen in my life.
No, but does he fuck? He's like, well, yeah, but it's like it's gonna be different than you. And it's like, what?
He fucks different, DMX.
DMX just don't get
It's
it.
like,
DMX just don't get it.
It is Friday. I actually don't know what the date is.
It is Friday.
April 6th. It is Friday, April 6th, 2018, and you are listening to the Irrational Passions Podcast. I'm your host, Alex O'Neill, and joining me this week is Jerry Green.
It's funny, we had the same problem for input. We were like, what the fuck day it is? I don't know where I am.
And Logan Wilkinson.
In me.
Dat boy.
Dat boy.
We are actually currently in an Airbnb
Yeah.
in Boston, Massachusetts, which is different than Columbia, Maryland, where I'm normally coming to you from
It is different.
live.
That's an accurate statement.
On Friday evenings. People watching this will see different scenery. There will
There's
be
a plant over there.
There's a plant off screen. I don't know why you would reference something that's off screen.
I liked it. You know what I mean?
You could be like, "There's a Trevor," and it's like people. Can
I already gave Trevor a shout out, so you know what?
But they did do it live on air?
Yeah, I think so. I think it was live.
It's like there's a Quentin, there's a Tyler Tree. It's like here are things that people can see if they're watching the video version. But
You know what? I've been trying to fill the imagination, you know, give them like sensory delights.
Sensory delights.
This is
That's my new rap album.
this is the live show from
maybe.
PAX
Sing
East 2018 with actual equipment. It's not going to sound as great. I think it'll actually sound okay. I'm looking at the waveforms.
Get that big ass mixer. Better sound okay.
I mean, right? God willing. Does it sound good? Moises is watching live right now, so you're hearing me and then hearing me again in like 14 seconds. Is it weird? Moises is off screen. He will be on the show later.
Why did you reference something off screen, Alex?
Yeah,
it's
you're
weird.
right. I fucked up.
Damn.
Hey, Logan, I'm going to
Didn't even
acknowledge
take
my
that long.
mistake. I'm going to let you know. I fucked up.
Yeah.
Wowee.
But yeah, so we got a little bit of a different crew. It's not the normal Irrational Passions podcast crew. It is the writing team, as I like to call them, also known collectively as Best Boys.
That's true.
It's a really
Can't
Real
confirm.
walking boys.
it's
too.
a real
Some real walking boys. That's a good point.
it's a real sausage party like environment, and I think we really should fucking change that. Come on, guys. It's really. I'm
There's
I'm
nothing
sorry,
I can do
everyone.
about that. Sorry.
It's all right.
We all have weenies. I'm sorry.
Weenies, as in the sausage that you get in the bulk pack from BJ's Wholesale Club, and you're like, I'm gonna make this while I watch Saturday morning
I
cartoons.
work with a guy who's 65, and he refers to hot dogs as wieners. Makes me very uncomfortable.
like,
He also
yeah.
has wieners every Thursday,
Okay.
so he gets very excited about Wiener Thursday.
As our PAX special. Am I like a DM
Is
that's
somebody writing down titles? Because Thursday I think needs to be one.
like typically like I just do PAX 2018 special, but yeah, I guess that's fair. Maybe Nabashin out there's watching somewhere. It's writing down titles. This is our PAX special. It's gonna be a little bit different. It's gonna be shorter. We're just gonna talk about some games we saw at PAX, and we'll have some guests on. Obviously, it's not a normal crew, but we have some other folks here that I'd like to have on. So to kick things off, just as one thing, thank you to everyone for checking out our PAX content and coverage over at IrrationalPod.com. How do you two, Logan and Jared, how do you two feel about our PAX coverage right now?
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
It's a fucking lot.
This is our E3. You know, like that's why I always say. So I anticipate, like, hey, we're gonna write a lot about some stuff at PAX. You know, we don't get a lot of opportunities to get out there and see some pre-release stuff.
Games.
Yeah, and talk to people also. Like we get to talk to a lot of developers here and actually meet them. Sometimes they know us.
Yeah, it's weird.
It's really weird.
Yeah.
I don't usually believe them. They're like, "Oh yeah, Irrational Passion." So I'm like, you're just lying to me. It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine.
It's definitely still okay. I'll take it. Yeah.
It's okay. I actually, honestly, I think that's nicer than the alternative. Like, as to, I never heard of you guys. Like, but yeah.
Maybe some business card.
May I show you my card of the business variety? But yeah, it's not real. But I think we are 2 days into a 4-day show.
Yeah.
So like normally I would say like let's record on Saturday when we've like had 2 days of stuff, but ends up we already had 2 days of stuff, and it's fucked up that we still have 2 more days of stuff, except for some of us. I looked at George Cruz Alvarez. I think people can kind of see him a little bit off screen. But yeah, we've had a lot of time on the floor. We're gonna have a good amount of time going forward as well. We've played a lot of stuff. We have some guests that have played a lot of stuff as well. So what my proposed idea for this show was, hey, I want you to talk about your current game of show, your favorite thing, as long as no one else has talked about it, and let's have a conversation about that. So, Jared, how do you feel about kicking us off?
Sure.
I mean, I wasn't prepared for this, but it's fine.
I don't think I have a game of show yet,
Okay.
Good start.
but I know that no one else is going to talk about Scum on the show.
Oh shit, you played Scum?
And I did play Scum.
To set the scene, there's a big fucking booth on the floor right near Devolver with like this fucking chain link fence on
that's
it.
fun. And Devolver
And the screams that come from it too.
Devolver Digital every year usually has a feature game, I guess, that has a big set. Last year was Absolver, which was in like a big cave.
And it was
I guess.
awesome.
And it was a really cool set. This is like a fucking barbed wire cage fence, like a prison yard.
And it has just the big letter Scum
Yeah,
written
just
on
has
the
Scum spray
huge
painted on the
wall.
side, giant brick walls, a backing, and just like an empty court with just TVs. And it's fucking loud. So
Yes, it's very
the
loud.
gunshots are loud. The people screaming and
There's some
dying are
random
loud.
yelling
So
every
you'll
10
walk
seconds.
by, you'll walk in sort of the proximity of Devolver Digital, and just hear screams and like fiery death, and it's pretty good.
I don't even know what Scum is. Is
So
it-
it's a survival game
Jesus.
along
Okay.
the same lines as your DayZs and I guess PUBG or whatever.
I also want to establish, because none of us played it and none of us will, Daisy is here playable on Xbox One, and I was like, what the
and, like,
fuck?
who gives a shit
Yeah,
anymore?
like no one gives a shit.
Yeah, and that's kind of a weird first angle here because it isn't a battle royale game, but it is what a battle royale game was before, like the closing environment and the dropping into random places. That still happens, but this is like what if DayZ was like a really really big RPG.
Okay.
So your create a character suite is like over the fucking top. You pick an age for your character. The age determines the kind of modifiers you have on your skills the first time. Then you choose like a body type, which also modifies your skills. Then you choose like an issue, like some sort of ailment, and it can be like, what do you want?
I have a question.
Okay.
Question coming from a live studio audience, Moises Figueres.
When you say that there's an age that you can put, does that mean that a 7-year-old child can attack me in the game?
Can a 7-year-old child attack the
Absolutely
player in
not.
the game?
There's a
Plug my Periscope where everybody can see an alternate view of the proceedings.
yeah. If you want the second screen experience,
At Tyler Trees on Twitter and on Periscope, you could follow and fuck there.
yes. Fuck in the Periscope.
Yeah, no, in the DMs.
It's the only
True.
way you can see that plant.
It's true. It's very true.
Yeah, there you go. Shout out to the
very
plant.
true.
You can see the plant.
The
mentioned.
minimum age, I believe, is 30.
Oh wow.
Really?
But it can go up to like 70.
Okay.
And every so often, every age bracket is a different, I guess, set of modifiers. The older you get, obviously, I guess the weaker you'll be. I guess, generally speaking, the more negatives you'll have to physical strengths, but the more positive you'll have to like mental strength. So there's like there's an agility and a strength. There's also a wisdom and or not maybe not wisdom, but 2 other skills that modify skills, like your ability to learn skills and put points in them. You'll get a bigger bonus to those the older you get.
I'm not gonna lie to you, Jared. I feel like after 40, my mental strength is gonna be pretty low.
Well, I think the idea is you've learned a lot, so you have this like.
I know. No, I understand what the idea is.
I mean, your brain's just going to deteriorate.
It's all the drugs.
On top of that, there's the body size, obviously. So like, you can make a big muscle guy or like a big fat dude. Both of those things modifiable as well.
Question from the live studio audience, Quentin Hoffman, staff writer at IrrationalPassions.com. What was his question? He whispered into your ear. What was the question?
Question was, how fat can the people get?
How fat can the people get?
I don't know what the actual weights are, but like mad fat.
Mad fat.
Mad fat.
You heard it here first. Scum.
I'm not talking like
mad fat.
We're not
Like
talking
fat
like
Albert fat? That's my question.
no, we're not like
Follow up.
not like Bob from Tekken fat, but like
Okay.
big enough for like, bro, you're in prison this big, like they feed you this way. And the physical modifiers change, like they affect your speed, affect your strength, affect your intelligence, and all that kind of shit. All of that can be modified in the game as well, but like we'll get to that in a second. There's also another layer of modification that's like ailments, like you're an alcoholic, you're a drug addict, you're an asshole in some other fashion. And
Quinn,
Why are you just
that-
describing me?
you're Tyler Trees.
Main character scum.
That also affects your ability to get certain skills. It gives you access to skills that you might not have access to before, and it closes off access to certain skills because of, I don't know, whatever. And that's before you fucking drop in.
Do you drop in on an airplane?
No, you kind of just show up.
Same.
Well, there's a gigantic map that's like a big map that has a bunch of different, like a coastal region and like a mountainous region and like a lake thing. It's all separated into grids. You get to pick which grid you fall into.
Okay.
This works for either the single player or the multiplayer mode. And while you're actually in doing shit, so you know the general survival game rules apply. Run around, find materials to craft into things,
Food,
and
thirst.
get better. Yeah, exactly.
Got it.
If you like, I guess the last one standing. But there's a lot of other like there's so many sort of minute details to the crafting. Like you pick up a stone, you can make it a stone knife. But you can turn, like there's different types of wood you can find, different type of branches that all may make the same thing or all make different things. You can turn so many of these raw materials into smaller, like processed raw materials, and everything you do gives you some sort of, I guess, progress towards a meter. Basically, anytime you craft, you get a little bit better at crafting.
Nice. I do love meters.
I'm a big fan of meters.
Big fan.
Then he pulls up this fucking HUD that is 2/3 of the screen of data, right? And it's all the most minute, like, health data you can have in a person. So their BTU, their like caloric
BMI.
their caloric intake when they're walking, caloric burning when they're running,
It is like the BMI. Holy
blood
shit.
type, intake of particular minerals, like important minerals, every food item you have has a caloric value. And the point being is if you start with like a fat character, you can put him on a diet and make him smaller. Or you can eat like protein high diets in order to get bigger, to get a bigger strength modifier. But the bigger you get, basically, the more food you need to stay, I guess, in like a healthy range so that you can, because your energy consumption gets higher when you're bigger.
It's like San Andreas.
That's what I was thinking.
Kind of, but to like the nth degree.
To like an actual scientific level.
Yeah, and it is scientific. Like, so according to him, like these are all accurate values. I mean, all accurate interactions. With activity and like the food intake and like the exercise. Like I was like, why?
This sounds like too much.
Why? Man. And he's like, because at the baseline level, it's just a survivor shooter.
Yeah.
But we have all this other shit just in case somebody else wants to get like really deep into this. And he envisions this idea that there's so many layers to this game. Like there's a game here for anyone who wants to play it. Like if you want to just roll up and shoot 16 people in the face, that game's here too. But if you want to like try to live a life on the island and like try to like, get the very minute, miraculous sort of specialty runs, like the process is there for you too.
In real life, I'm sitting here eating that chicken mac.
Hell yeah.
In Scum, I'm on a very strict diet.
And I mean, I guess the actual gameplay isn't necessarily so remarkable as you've never seen it before. But it's all these other interacting systems that can make this remarkable. I don't know that me personally, I'm like over the moon to like get on the Scum train, but I can definitely see this being like such a gravity well for YouTubers because there's like so much dumb shit you can do in this game.
Got it.
Just like if you really want to if you want to be the streamer who's like I'm on a strict diet, I want to see how strong I can get my character just based on the materials given to me in this game, based on trying to get my dude as jacked as possible, keep his diet going, and like for 3 seconds punch a person's head off, and then have to go eat because I'm tired. Like if that's what you want to be, that's what you can be. The multiplayer mode, like they have this event system, where basically turns the game into Call of Duty more or less, and gives you like a playlist of game types or game modes. We played like a capture a point situation, and it was just whatever. It was like a shooter game, but.
I did have, before we move on to the next game, I did one live studio audience question from Moises Tavares from OKBeast.com reporting in. Question from the OKBeast
Okay, Beast Boy.
OK Beast Boy from that outlet. Go ahead.
From that outlet.
No, you sort of got into it a little bit, but I was just gonna ask, like, this menu full of the utmost minutia of all this, like, what kind of gamer does like who coming into this is that gonna appeal to?
Super hardcore. It reminded me a lot of looking at a D&D character sheet.
Okay.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, I can see that. Actually.
Tabletop
a
appeal.
lot of very minor things that interact with each other at like they all interact with the core stats in some way. So for the person who wants to be the min-maxer and wants to find, because if you're playing with a more basic sort of, I guess, suite of inputs, then you're going to do well, but you can always do better the deeper you want to go. So for the min-maxer, that's what this is for. Like, you might be fine not worrying about your diet, just making sure you're eating when, your hunger meter is low. But you'll do better if you eat the right things when your hunger meter is low.
I want you to know, Garrett, somewhere in the world, probably in Laurel, Maryland, Tony Horvath just came.
I've played several Tony games this year.
Yeah, I played one, so I
Drum Kick Heroes, also a Tony game. If it played K-pop, he would already have this game. I think.
Yeah.
But it plays metal. I don't know how he feels about metal. But
Probably Scott loves metal, so.
But I don't know if Scott's a rhythm game guy.
He loves DDR, but past that, not so much.
So he's like a normie rhythm game guy.
Kind of, but he was like really into DDR, like high level DDR play. So, Logan,
Yeah.
tell me
And me.
what your game of show is right now, and keep in mind, I want people listening or watching to know that this could and very well may change within the next couple of days. We still have Saturday and Sunday for most of us, and we have some appointments left and a lot of time left. So
A lot of games to see still. I haven't seen The Messenger. I haven't seen Below still. I want to see both. City of Brass, Quentin really kind of has sold me on. The game I think that I enjoyed, I don't know if that's the correct word. The game I think is the best I've played so far, because I don't really know if I enjoyed it, is
Excuse me?
the Inner Friend. Because I don't think it's like a fun video game. I think it's very much like a very serious, kind of dark.
But I think enjoyment doesn't have to be you've.
That's why I kind of switch
switched
it to like fun. I think it's not necessarily a fun video game. I think it's a really good, well-crafted video game. That like incorporates a really kind of diverse and eclectic mixture of different like titles and like inspirations. Like it pulls from, I think, like Dante's Inferno and like Pan's Labyrinth and like Inside and Limbo. I think are heavily featured kind of in the DNA of this title. I also think that it's a really like it's like 19th and 20th century like philosophy and like thought on like humanity's soul and like redemption. It can be like change ourselves, and it's like this really weird game by like this French Canadian studio. But man, like it's a really something like, I think it's from a gameplay level, I think it's basically a 3D version of Inside and Limbo. It's not side-scrolling, you kind of explore in any direction. It's puzzle solving mostly. There was one of the levels I played was me basically running away from a scary like barber, essentially. But in again like that Pan's Labyrinth style, it's kind of this like monstrous version of that, right? Like covered in fur, carrying like giant oversized scissors. Another one was like a school teacher who's like covered in like eyeball looking things. I think it pulls a lot from Pan's Labyrinth and that kind of design and aesthetic of the kind of creatures and enemies you come across. They kind of described it as a psychological horror game. I think that's a tad bit kind of misleading. I think it's less horror and more atmospheric. I think it's more kind of the build-in kind of tension and dread. They very deliberately said there aren't really too many jump scares, if any at all. They very like explicitly said there's no blood or gore in the game.
Wouldn't you consider atmosphere part of horror though? Because I would consider The Witch a horror movie, but there were no jump scares in that movie.
But I think it's more of a thriller, is what I would describe it, more than like a horror game. Like I think it pulls much more from like a Psycho, that kind of thing, like Birds, Alfred Hitchcock kind of style, much less from the modern kind of classic interpretation of what a horror film is.
Yeah, there aren't like, unfortunately, like video games don't seem to have like a category for thriller.
Yeah, and I think this very much slides into
You're
that
not
much
thrilled
better.
by Call of Duty campaigns?
I actually am thrilled by Call of Duty campaigns.
Let's say a hard no on that one, Jared.
My guy threw a knife that was in his own heart at another dude's heart.
Shout out to Infinite Warfare. It's a good video game.
Continue.
Thank you. But and it's just like the way that it does that and mixes kind of these really intense and creepy encounters and environments. Because it's mostly black and white and like shades of kind of gray, with very very rare splashes of color. When they do appear, it really pops and it's like a very vibrant kind of feel to it, mixed with it's again kind of musings on like philosophy and like human thought and humanity's like soul and purpose and like why we're here and kind of thing. I think is done really well, especially for a game with no dialogue, right? There's no words and it's just kind of all conveyed via either the environment, the character animations, or just kind of what you find along your path. I mean, it's a very minimalist game. There's literally no icons on the screen at any point in time. There are a total of 2 buttons that you use along with the analog sticks, so it's very kind of minimalist and kind of stripped of everything except for just core essentials. But I think it just really left me kind of transfixed by it. Like I couldn't stop thinking about it afterwards. Like the minute I put the controller down, I was like, holy shit, that's a video game right there. And then I think it's all kind of capped off by anytime you finish a level, you're like transported back to, I assume, the like main character's bedroom or somebody important to him bedroom, right? 'Cause it's all about kind of overcoming some past trauma you don't know about. And you're taken to a bedroom and like the big thing you were chasing after in each individual level, you kind of put on a shelf and put into like some sort of aspect in that bedroom, and it kind of brightens the room up a little bit. It kind of brings a bit more kind of vibrancy and depth to it. And I loved that aesthetic as well.
Sounds right.
It's a real neat
video. You definitely wanted some of us to play this before.
Yeah, I think everyone should play it. It's a great video game, or at least a very promising one, right? I think it blends the different kind of styles really well, right? And I also dug going to like the Dante's Inferno aspect of it, of like kind of plunging through like the 8 levels of the character's like trauma and like whatever kind of led him to this like fractured psyche state that he currently kind of resides in.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to transition into my current game show. I don't think it's going to get toppled, but I'd like Mike Burgess, Quinn Hoffman, and George Cruz to get ready because they are going to be the next mini panel here to get over here. And I don't even know if Mike can hear me right now. I'm looking at him.
He's pointing currently.
But if y'all want to get them situated while I kind of go over what I want to talk about, which is Below. Below has come back. Capybara Games. Talking about Below again for the first time in 2 years now. Last time I saw it was in 2016. Last time it was at PAX East. And the last time I played it was in 2014. It was the first time I played it. Although I did kind of witness some... Does anybody want to, like... Mike, do you want to just, like, just start moving? Yeah, my boy. I'm just trying to make some progress and kill some people.
I'm guessing he probably has a good sense of how long you're going to talk about Below.
Yeah.
It's had some time.
It's a hot 3 minutes. But so the last time I played it was 2014. And the game has changed a lot. Like, the thing is, like, the core of its identity has not changed, but it knows far better now what it is than it did then. Like, it has its own sense of identity and its own kind of... Are you really going to fucking open up a cookie and eat on this goddamn podcast?
You are definitely fired from West Winging.
It knows exactly very well, like, what it is, what it sets out to be. And a thing that was unclear when I first played Below, and that is very clear now, is that part of that formula isn't just Zelda, but it's survival, right? Below is a survival game. It is a game where you are managing a hunger, cold, and thirst meter, and you are kind of dealing with that, and that's something you need to be thinking about while you're kind of exploring that world. It's also a game where if you get injured, you can't just walk it off. You have to deal with it, right? It is a game where if I get hurt by a monster, I'm bleeding, and if I don't cauterize that wound or bandage it, I will continue to bleed and continue to take damage. And yeah, very much like real life, Moises. I assume that's what you were saying. And it was just like the way those mechanics are implemented is a lot clearer now than it was way before, and that made them a lot more enjoyable as far as like video game mechanics. Like, it kind of sucks to have to, like, oh, I got hit by something, I have to go find a fire and cauterize my wound, or else I'll continue to lose health up to a point. But it is also something that was more clear to me as a player that I had to do. It wasn't an option, right? I need to deal with this. It's also like something where, it's a game where if you die, you literally start from the very, very beginning of the game, where you kind of like wash up on the shore of this island on a boat, and you're like, okay, literally from the beginning of the game I have to go. But there are ways to kind of fast travel back to where you were by using the same kind of resources that you would use to, say, light your way in the dark tunnels below, or to kind of traverse. So, like, it's a game about resources. It's a game about resource management, and it feels so much clearer in that regard, while also still having those Zelda characteristics. It's a top-down isometric action game. It's a game where you're fighting off monsters and exploring dungeons. It's a game with items and item management to some extent. It's a game with crafting as well. It seems really cool. It's the kind of game that I want to sit down with in a quiet place and really unravel, and kind of learn and figure out kind of like how I felt about Spelunky, where you're kind of peeling back layers with every death and learning things as you kind of go along. It's like, I died here, but getting back here, I learned a new thing about what I can do. And that implementation, that execution is just, it's well thought, it's well done, and I'm really impressed with it. And they said it's coming out this year, and I want to believe them.
I didn't know that part.
Last 6 months of this year is what they told me.
That's buck wild.
Yeah.
They said they weren't going to bring it back until they knew they were going to get it out.
Yeah, and I'm hopeful to believe them, but it is a thing, and like I'll believe when I see it. But they're like, hey, it's done. You can play it front to back. We're polishing it now, and basically it's got to go through cert, and so we can't give you a date right now, because that's going to be dependent on those platforms.
I imagine it'll get a big push at E3 then, because in terms of the public, we knew walking in that it was going to be there, but I don't know how much
like a day before,
right? So I don't know how much other folks know, and it's definitely a game that it had eyes on it for a while, and people, it was a long time.
Yeah.
I mean, they had OKKO, Let's Be Heroes came out, and I don't know how well that did for them. I'm still curious about that. Mm-hmm. But
it seems like a thing that could easily come out over the summer and be a real great hit in that time.
And Microsoft needs big hitters. So.
Yeah.
They need something, let's be clear.
With me now, and I'm going to step off here, and so Mike Burgess, producer, can kind of take my spot. But George Cruz on the mic. Hi, George.
Hello.
And Quentin Hoffman on the mic.
Hi.
Hi. Mike, let's get you here. And let's talk about George. What's your game?
Sure. So I had to step back because I want to say it is Overland, but when I really looked deep inside myself, I realized that I've been sort of on the hunt for a good racing game. I'm not a big fan of the genre, but I feel like I have the bug in me, and if I found the right one, I could get into it. And so I've been trying to find sort of an arcade-like racer, something light. I'm not a big sim guy. Something a little bit more Burnout Paradise, which got re-released. And there's actually a lot of racing games at the show this year. Mike, you saw one that I had an eye on. What was that called again? The
Anti-Gravitor.
Anti-Gravitor, which was sort of a Wipeout-esque game. Mm-hmm. There's also, I forget the name of it that I saw. It was going for a Cruise in USA vibe, but it seemed a little too bare bones. Mm-hmm. But I saw Trailblazers, which is probably my game of the show, just because I was just so surprised with what it's doing. So it is a cooperative racing game where you can, in a Splatoon-like fashion, paint the track with ink. And it's cooperative in that you are a team. You're a team of three, mm-hmm. three versus three. And you are scored on how much ink you covered on the track, the placement of your team, and also points, which you get points for just random stuff. I wasn't paying too much of attention for it.
Yeah.
But it was interesting because it was cooperative in racing game in a way that I've never seen before. Because it's almost Overwatch-like, right? Because a big thing that everyone talked about Overwatch was that it rewards the player, here's what you did well. It doesn't say, oh, look how many times you died.
Yeah.
So, at the end of the screen, you get a big, stat screen, what everyone contributed and what your team did best at. And I forget. And at the end, everything is added up, and then there's a score. Then, this is the team that won. But yeah, that really surprised me. And then with the modes, it has the opportunity. They told me that there's a deathmatch mode that is just each person is out for themselves in terms of how much color of the track they painted. Wow. I was like, oh, that's really awesome. So yeah, there's a lot of variety there, but I feel like it's so, it's just so fun and innovative. But yeah, I don't know what else to say about Trailblazers, but I was really, really surprised with it. Logan Wilkinson will be writing our preview for it. He also saw it, and I'm glad he did. So he will have more on that on the site soon.
It's lit.
Yeah.
Talking about Trailblazers?
Yes, we are talking about Trailblazers.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think, that does sound really cool. I walked by it and I saw some trailers before the show, and that I'd thinking about it now of the team aspect, how dynamic that can be. Cause
it really, yeah.
Because that makes it very you don't necessarily have to be we need to be number one. We need to work together, and
you don't even need to
really
drift. Cool. You can just hit a corner if you're if you're playing I'm thinking playing with my little brothers.
Right.
You can just paint. You're out here painting.
Correction, I need to drift.
You need to Tokyo drift.
Get out.
That movie
DK.
sucks, and you all know it.
Yes, thank you, George. Oh, no, that was you, Quinn?
Yeah.
Damn it, I have to agree with Quinn on this.
God bless Trevor.
More scary? I agree too.
I know.
You can do the righteous thing and just take it back.
No, because Tokyo Drift is the worst.
Anyways, it is developed by Super Gonk Games and published by Rising Star, which is interesting to see Rising Star extremely out there in a capacity that's not just like, hey, we're publishing Deadly Premonition for the 5 millionth time, and here's another obscure indie Japanese game, because there's not that big of an indie like publishing Japanese scene. But yeah, Trailblazers. Mike, what do you got?
Man, I've seen a lot of cool stuff, but I think today was definitely Omen Sight. Omen Sight. I'm preaching now. I've been preaching all day since I came from that show, so everyone here knows. But like, man, that just like, I saw a trailer for it. We got some when they were sending out appointments for the book.
Yeah.
And like just watching the trailer, I was like, all right, cool. But then I like actually sat down and like got to speak with the co-founder for Spearhead Games. His name was Mikhail. I'm probably forgetting that.
Spearhead Games, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a good name. Awesome. Shout out to that team.
Yeah, they have like cool ass business cards too, because it's like has like a little USB that like flips out of the card, and that's like where all the press stuff was.
That's like
They're like
Assassin's
fucking
Creed,
good shit.
Like Mirror's Edge, or not Mirror's Edge. It's
You
a lot of ex Ubisoft people.
You could totally tell, because like there's like the thing that stood out to me in terms of how that game looks is like it reminds me of like those PS2 era like action adventure kind of platforming, like those older like 3D Prince of Persia games, like even a little bit like kind of like God of War in terms of how it like kind of camera angles a lot of the stuff, and it's like a very fast and fluid kind of combat. Like it has a lot of like Bayonetta stuff in it too, where like you're if you dodged attacks the right time, you'll go into slow motion, and you can use that to your advantage to take out enemies. You can also summon like a big AoE like circle around you that like all the enemies captured in it also get like frozen in time, and you can just run around at high speeds and take them out that way. It's really cool. You have also partners with you, and that's kind of where how they kind of tie the story together, where basically the whole premise of it, what they were saying at the show was there was a character that was murdered, and the character that gets murdered, basically her murder has caused like the end of the world, and the character you play as she has the Omen Sight, and she's like a silent protagonist.
What's the Omen Sight, Mike?
So the Omen Sight allows her to rewind time for like a very distinct period. So basically the loop of the game is she rewinds time and basically meets with these different characters you partner up with, and they're basically parts of factions in these worlds, and some of these factions are like warring with each other or have other stakes in this overarching kind of thing. So like depending on what characters you pick, that can drastically change some of the things that happen to other characters. So the demo they showed me, I was a partner, I forget the character's name, but it was kind of like this little like cat girl. She followed me around. She basically like helped me kind of like move certain obstacles, kind of like typical stuff of like, hey, here's this big door, walk up with me and push it. But they can also help you in combat. So like you can basically hit one of the triggers, and she'll give you like a buff to increase your movement speed, give you more damage to your attacks and stuff. And each of those, I think that he showed like 4 or 5 total different characters, and each of those have their own abilities. Like there's like a big bear guy, and he can do like a big slam.
Shout out to Big Bear guys.
Yeah, it's and just visually, it's like immediately stands out.
I agree. It's a looker.
Yeah, and it's like surprising because they were like, yeah, we're like just like a team in Montreal of like 15 guys, and they came right off of Stories, which I didn't play.
That was impressive.
Great game.
Yeah, so they came right off of that, and he was saying like, yeah, we've been working on the game for like 18 months, and like it's pretty impressive that they like had that kind of turnaround time, because it looks impressive. It's really sharp, and it feels good to play, and I came out impressed. Right. I've been like kind of just thinking about it all day.
That was Alex O'Neill, our editor-in-chief, farting in the background.
I picked up.
Wow.
And also, it's sort of, you told me it's sort of a spiritual successor to Stories in terms of like. So
basically, I asked him like kind of like what his influences were for this game in particular, and he kind of just like unabashedly said like it was Stories that he did before, because they kind of took that game and took everything they learned from it and just wanted to build off and make something bigger and better, where this game, he said, kind of like they had kind of a different combat style apparently in stories, and they kind of wanted to expand it to be like a little bit more faster and reactionary and all that kind of stuff.
That's weird because in stories the combat is very quick and very fluid. So if they're making it like advancing it, it'll be more interesting.
It definitely feels fast. It feels like. It feels kind of like there's some Bayonet elements. There's some kind of older PS2 elements. Like it really just, I had a lot of fun with it, and I can't wait to see it. It's apparently pretty soon too. So it's like they said like later this spring, early summer.
It's really impressive.
What's it coming out on?
Steam
PS4,
and PS4
yeah.
at first. And they said they might do stuff later.
Is Stories their first game?
No.
Okay. I wasn't sure.
They did a 4-player cooperative game, puzzle game. I don't remember what it's called, but you play as like a bunch of different lab rats. It's a puzzle game.
Tiny Brains?
Yes.
Wow.
Tiny Brains.
Seriously? That's
Yeah.
that team? Holy shit.
Yeah, I remember because I met them at PAX 2014 after they did that game.
That's
or
a
they
bad game.
premiered that game. Yeah, it's not a super well-loved game. That's why I was surprised when I heard this was Spearhead. I totally forgot Stories was Spearhead. So.
Okay. Quinn, what do you got for us?
Okay, guys, let me tell you a story about a nice
Don't
guy.
put your arm on the table.
Okay. About a nice guy I met.
You already ruined the story.
Thanks, Mike.
Just quit being
I'll just
Quinn,
leave
guys.
now.
Don't clap on the mic.
Yeah, serious.
Oh, my pop filter's waiting right there, so shit like that.
Won't help the clap.
Is
Thanks.
this what you really think of me? Putting me in the segment with Quinn.
love Mike. Oh my god.
The whole, I'm not even like I'm only partially making a bit of this, but I was literally thinking that the whole time when you were like sitting here transitioning. I'm just standing here. I'm like, man, I gotta be on this fucking shit.
Go, please, Quinn, continue.
I don't know, Mike. I'm stuck with Moises, so.
Story, but you got Tyler.
But
Balances out.
so I was lucky enough to go check out a game called Solo, and when I initially received an email from one who's reached out to me, luckily enough, he was all like, "Hey, check out my game." And I was like, "It's pretty. It's got sailing." I like both of those things. And then I went to the booth. Super nice guy. From Madrid too, which is awesome.
All devs are nice. You're a sellout. Just tell us about the fucking video game.
But little did I know that Solo is a really, really unique game about. It's introspective about relationships and past relationships, and it's something that I wasn't expecting because I saw the pretty game, the pretty 3D world game, and the sailing. I wasn't expecting this deep shit to come out of like fucking left field. But
Wait, so what type of game is this?
it's just like a little platformer that you.
3D platformer, right?
Yeah.
Is what you said?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like later down the line, I'll talk about the level design and all that. But when you boot up, I booted up the demo. Excuse me. One of the first questions it asks you is, like, are you in a relationship? Like, and 3 options about that. Like, then what gender are you? And like, and who would you prefer to have a relationship with? Than your age. And it was really like. Then later down, when you play the game, you see these decisions actually implemented, and it was super interesting because I just a generic thing because I was just like demoing it, whatever.
Right.
But when I was playing the game, everything. There's puzzle aspects to it. The levels are just fucking beautiful. Like they really are gorgeous. And I really dug. Like it just came out of left field, and it's something that I wasn't expecting to enjoy as much as I was. And then when you're exploring these levels, there's like a ghost of past relationships, and it's like there's little mementos and tents, and it talks about the things you've done in the past, not necessarily and it all stems from you activating lighthouses, and it goes to a little like peg thing that lights up, and you interact with it, asks you a question, and you respond to it with whatever option you choose. Then you see that reflected, and it's all about your own personal journey, and it's super weird because when you boot up the game, it doesn't you don't make it yourself. It's all about your experiences and you, and that's something that's really, really unique about it. Also, the puzzles are fun. The game's pretty.
Just by the way.
They're sailing.
So what you're saying is this is the Wind Waker of emotions.
Yeah, basically. But then I was talking to Juan about where did you guys decide to come up with this really unique idea for a game about relationships? And he said one of the members on the team was going through a really shitty breakup, and they wanted to instead of keeping it to himself, he discussed it with the whole team, and they decided that it's better to talk about it and voice what's going on with you emotionally and get that out of your system. So, and here we are.
I'm curious, and I don't want to construe this the wrong way, but does it feel blamey in a way where it's so I feel like sometimes when you air out feelings after a broken relationship, it can feel
it's
blamey.
more one-sided.
Yeah,
personal.
it can feel directional. Does it come across that way, or does it feel more earnest?
Ed Sheeran calling out Ellie Goulding on
No,
this track?
I'm not going that specific, but you know what I mean.
But there's questions where it's introspective on culture and long distance relationships, and was it timed? Was it a time? There's all these different questions, so it all varies.
It's a lot of up in the air stuff. That makes it more interesting, I think.
Yeah, and that's why it's more introspective. It's the pie in the sky ideas versus what's going on with you. You know what I mean? And that's what makes it so unique and interesting.
That sounds cool.
Yeah, it's a pretty game.
It sounds pretty. I hear this sailing.
Also, the guy was telling me there's pigs you can pet.
Okay.
And if you feed them enough, they will poop multicolored poop.
Hell yeah!
I played with Tom today. That's not that impressive.
That is literally one of the notes I have.
Game of the year. All right. Let's tag you boys out. You wanna?
Bye.
We're gonna. We got a few guests here. No more Irrational Passage people. We're going to bring on Moises Tavares, Trevor Starkey, and Mr. Tyler Treese. Tyler Treese, sometimes occasionally known as Dat Boy, but we'll see. Tyler, let's start with you. What is your game of show right now?
So, the best thing I saw was on wetpussygames.com.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah, man.
It's very on brand.
There's some crazy hentai. You wouldn't believe what's on that website.
Go ahead, please.
Big Mike. Oh my god.
Big Mike.
Shout out to Big Mike.
Why am I here?
Shit. What did I see, man? Almond Sight's cool, like Big Mike was saying. You know what?
Did you we're yeah, I'm gonna be on this thing. Did you just not prepare or think about it?
You've had 6 other games to think about this, but really all you were thinking about was that wet pussy joke.
I didn't call it that. That was like, man, that's gonna kill. I'm gonna get some audible laughter, and I don't have to worry about the rest.
Now here's the thing: you did get to talk to Yoko Taro.
Yeah. I don't want to talk about video games.
Today. I do want to hear about that.
Yeah, I talked to Yoko Taro. He had his mask off. He was like Future.
Mask off.
Mask off.
That's what he said.
Mask off. Yeah, that's what Yoko Taro said. That's how he led the interview. But no, he's hilarious. My interview will be going live tomorrow morning, as long as I finish my transcription. So that was a real highlight. I saw Dragon Quest XI.
If you finish it.
Ooh, ominous.
Was Dragon Quest 11 behind closed doors or something?
Yeah.
Okay.
It looks really good. So like the English version of the game has they added like a dash button, so you're not slow.
Yeah, finally.
Yeah, thank you. But they added a new camera angle and stuff, so they've made improvements upon the Japanese release, which is cool. That game looks real pretty. Combat looks fun. So I don't know.
Tell me, no.
Can we talk about that wet pussy games joke we got?
No, you talked to Yoko Taro without his mask, and also the guy that did the music for Nier Automata.
Yeah.
What the hell did you talk about? I know you got an interview going up tomorrow. You give me the scoops, man.
All right. Look at Mike's wild. There's no controlling him.
Give me scoops.
All right, let me look at my notes. I have all my questions here. I asked him about his Instagram. Do you follow Yoko Taro on Instagram? So he just takes photos of a bunch of dogs waiting outside stores, waiting for their owners that are left unattended.
Oh my god.
And he said he's been taking these pictures for 10 years, and he thought it was time to show them to the world. His favorite breed of dog is Akibas.
Okay, acceptable.
He has no pets. And then Akabe-san, the composer, he shared a story about how his friend had his puppy waiting outside a store, and some motherfucker stole the puppy.
I thought he was going to say it, and this guy took a picture of him.
No, they just stole the puppy, and it was very sad.
That's fucked up.
Man, yeah, the Instagram was probably the highlight.
There was no. Did you talk about?
We talked about. Yeah.
Your like one of your favorite games ever. Literally, fucking Tyler does
I
this
opened the
one-on-one
interview.
podcast.
And I opened the interview about Instagram. I'm like, so before we talk about game design, can we talk about Instagram? I also asked him about Twitter.
Yeah. Yogatar is pretty lit on Twitter.
Yeah, he said he likes to highlight the positive so other people can aspire to be positive on Twitter.
Which seems very much not like.
Meanwhile, I'm just like shit posting.
Yeah, which is
online.
interesting because Yogatar talks a lot about his personal depression, and like there was a really great interview recently with Kotaku, yeah, where he talked about like how conflicted it was to be like he's always considered himself unsuccessful and depressed and kind of a loser, and then he did very well with Nier Automata, and it was like this kind of definitive success that he can't really deny, and how weird that was for him.
He told me he contributes that like to platinum games,
and that's fair. Like I feel like that's fair, but like what did you say to that? Did you just be like, you bish, and you did great, and I love you? Was that a direct quote?
Was
from
he all
you?
like, that's all about the soundtrack?
That was direct. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, guitar is cool. Trying to think what else we talked about.
You're looking at the note.
Yeah, I am.
She's like, really? We didn't talk about shit for a whole hour.
I don't know. My memory's fucked. Talk about what pussy games.
All right, Moises, save me.
Come on, Moises.
So the game that I was gonna talk about was Omen Sight because I was able to get an interview with the developers, and it's a pretty neat game. Mike already said everything that needs to be said about that game. Jesus fucking Christ. So I will bring up another game that somebody else has sort of brought up, which George did.
Wow.
Yeah, no, I have no original
Get
content.
fucked, Moises.
So I went to Finji, and I played not the game that you got me on live for though. The Tunic's great too. I played Overland. I believe that's the name, right? Overland?
Yep, Overland.
I think it's
Overland.
Overwatch.
I actually
in the game.
Fuck up, stay in the back. So yeah, I played Overland, which is a strategy game published and developed by Finji. And it's a neat game. It's sort of reminded me a lot of Into the Breach recently, but mostly because that's just the newest strategy game like on everybody's mind. Though it also has a small playing board, sort of like Into the Breach. The settings are generally defined by the stages of the place you're in. It's set in like post-apocalyptic America, and apparently you're trying to make it from the East Coast to the West. And apparently, from what I heard, the West Coast is completely fucked in this game, so that's gonna be fun to see. And so I think we were going to some place called Stockholm or whatever, and we were in a cityscape like any other city that you would go to. And it places a neat twist on it because since it's humans in the apocalypse, and I feel like that's not really explored too much in strategy games, they kind of use that and run with it in like the fact that you can go against like your enemies, and most of them are grunts that will go in like one hit. But if you knock one out, more will appear from the ground, so the emphasis becomes less on fighting and more just surviving. And that goes as far as, like, I think Jarrett told me earlier that he tried to do runs as much as possible during the demo where you didn't hurt a single thing and you just scrounged for supplies. Mm-hmm. Because then the other part of it is you can siphon, like, gas from abandoned cars. You can pick up a stick on the road so that you can have any sort of weapon. A character I had came like with a rock already, so like they're not using any modern weaponry. I think a developer was there talking to me and told me that like in this post-apocalypse, like the reality is we used all our fucking bullets right away, and so we're just left with whatever else we haven't touched.
Is this the future where we actually like pass the gun laws?
Is Trump still president?
I mean, aliens are coming out of the ground, so yes.
Yeah.
There's your answer.
Jesus fucking Christ. Railroad us back onto this track, Moises.
How far did you make it?
How far? I made it to the end of the area. I lost one of my survivors.
So you played one area, just one.
Yeah, it's like a dotted line sort of, and you make pit stops all the way to the end. And there's
Moises, I'm sorry to interrupt, but shout out to like the Sea of Thieves Chips Ahoy booth because they're just giving out cookies.
Oh yeah, I did see that.
I got like
I was
two
actually gonna
things of
cut
cookies
in the
there.
line because the lady came out
And then they were
right
like,
in front
they
of
were
me with
like,
fucking Chips Ahoy.
What Tyler Trees?
Have you played Sea of Thieves? And I'm like, well, I haven't, but I'm like, oh, I own it. I totally lied my
Can
ass
I get
off.
Quinn back? God.
The cookies were good, man. They weren't the chewy ones. They were the harder ones, but still solid.
I will say, in Tyler's defense, like seeing a video games booth with the fucking like actual straight up Chips Ahoy logo on it was fucking weird.
I mean, hey,
It's real.
You get hungry being out on the PAX show floor for 8 hours. So
And on the open seas.
Yeah. Ahoy, matey.
Anything else?
Yeah, continue, Moises.
Did
I
you
didn't
get a
mean to
dog and
interrupt.
did you pet it? Because
I
that's
did
one
not
of
get
those
the
things
dog.
they have.
I think the dog might have been the second, because when you get to a pit stop, you can make a decision based on how much gas you have. So I went for a survivor the first time, and then because I was really wasteful with my supplies on the next mission, I ended up trying to get supplies. And I think on that second pit stop, there's a survivor, and I think that might have been the dog. I ended up losing one of my survivors because there's the little grunt creatures, and then there's these sort of bigger ones that are harder to kill. I think in my experience you can only kill them with the car. So I started ramming the car that we picked up in the first mission, but my survivor that was in there was already hurt from a previous fight, and she ran out of turns, and so when I used her last turn to ram it into the alien, one of my survivors who was on the other side of the board was like, "Get out, it's gonna blow," and I tried as fucking hard as I could, but I am sorry, Ellie, you blew the fuck up. But at least I think she might have cleared the board a little bit, and then we were actually going to change cars at that mission, so I packed the bum that I picked up on the first mission and my original survivor into a better vehicle. Vehicles also act as storage as much as a weapon and as much as transportation, and we hauled ass. And then every mission after that was a really tense matter of just finding what the fuck we could to get out, because I very quickly realized we did not stand a chance fighting anything.
Did you talk to the developer any?
I talked to a developer while I was waiting in the line.
Becca?
Yeah, it was Becca.
Yeah.
What's her
awesome.
Instagram like?
I tried to find it. I mean, she's a mom, so probably just
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, no Paw Patrol.
I tried to find it actually.
So yeah, that's Overland. It's a neat survival game. I like that it's smaller in scope because
Shout out
it
to
makes
Thoughts.
you think in a different way.
For real.
Shout out to Thoughts. Honest to God, yeah.
Like real thoughts or
All right, you're done.
Also,
you're done.
Becca seems like a wonderful person. I just want to say that on the record.
Becca's incredibly nice. Yeah.
She is, yeah. I've been seeing Overland since PAX South 2016.
So Trevor, what game did you play?
So I picked. I've only played like 2 games on the show floor, and the one I'm going with is the one I have a prop for, Semblance. It is a little puzzle platformer made by indie developer from South Africa called Nyamakop. It's probably a total butchering of the name. I played it last year at PAX East, actually. It was a little like indie. They were in the indie mega booth then. They got a bigger booth here, and the premise is basically you're playing as this little squishy guy, and he can basically deform the world around him. So he can kind of dash up into a platform and kind of deform it into that. And so if you need to get something that's up here, you can't jump up there, but you can jump up, deform the platform, then get up on the platform, and then you've got the extra height that you need.
Sounds neat.
And so they kind of use that in different ways. You'll have like lasers that you have to like shoot into each other by deforming the platform around it. And the game, obviously, just the puzzles kind of get more complex throughout. So the build here, the public build they have is kind of what I played last year, just kind of a small series of kind of escalating puzzles. But they also have a media build, which is what I got to play today, and that was basically a little glimpse into kind of the story mode, I guess. They kind of tell story a little bit throughout the game using like cave paintings and stuff like that, and then you kind of hop into a tree, solve a few of these puzzles, and then kind of hop out, and each one kind of starts introducing the different mechanics in the game. Like there will be this red light that will be shot out, and if the red light is hitting the ground, you can't deform the ground, so you have to like deform where the red light is to get it so it's not shooting the ground anymore, and then you can deform the ground and solve the puzzle in whatever way you need. So yeah, it's a really cool kind of way of kind of exploring the platformer space in a new way. And one of my favorite stories is that whole mechanic kind of came out of a glitch from another game that they were working on, and their professor kind of said, oh, that's actually kind of a cool thing, you should really explore that. So they did, and they've been doing some cool stuff with it. So
That's really neat. I'm glad one of us like had a serious conversation. Moises tried, but I just ruined that.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, my guys.
Do you just not like me? Is that it?
No, I love you.
Oh, also, I have a written preview overlaying up on the site.
Yes, please do check that out, because George also likes that game, and so he's a good boy.
George, are you leaving?
No, I'm getting ready, though.
Okay.
I love George, too.
Let's wrap this up. Thank you, everybody. Thank you guys for sharing some thoughts on your games. Tyler.
Shout out to Irrational Passions.
Thank you.
Yo, shout out to OK Beast, because I'm the one guy here repping them.
I will say...
follow me on Twitter.
PlayStationLifestyles.com is where you can see Tyler's PAX East content. Follow Tyler, though, at Tyler Treese on Twitter. You're doing a Periscope?
Yeah, you can watch 11 minutes from an alternate angle.
Yeah, from a much more plant-friendly angle.
I also showed our minion during the Periscope.
Ooh, did he? That's what you went in the other room for?
Yeah.
There's a fucking light-up minion in our Airbnb, and it's fucked up. Moises, okbeast.com.
Yeah.
Currently has no written PAX East 2018 articles.
Yeah, we're having technical difficulties. That
Really?
draft is up.
Really?
It's not up on the site.
What is the quote-unquote technical difficulty?
Yeah, well, is it laziness? Was that? Is it technically laziness?
You know what? I'll take the hit for the team. I went out last night when I should have been doing writing, and then so that should have been done.
You were up until like 2:30 writing, so.
See,
So
what you think was
you.
writing was actually just me
you were just
sending
doing
messages to Chase. Yeah, because he wanted to know all about Below.
It's really good, right?
Shout out to
Below's
Big Mike.
fucking incredible.
Yeah, right.
You
I
know
played
who I
Below
hate?
too.
Logan Moore.
He played 2 hours
he
of
played
it?
2 fucking hours of Below.
Unbelievable.
Also, I'm just staying on this mic till the end.
I want to take a very special thank you for 5 incredible people. Logan Wilkinson, George Cruz Alvarez, Quentin Hoffman, Mike Birches, and Jarrett Green. 5 amazing people that are contributing to IrrationalPassions.com. It's a website you can go to right now and view tons and tons of features. Our website front page is actually updated and changed right now. It will be through the next week to highlight all of our PAX East content. We have a banner right at the bottom of our top 3 articles that you can click on. It'll take you to all PAX East articles, and our carousel up front on the front page is nothing but PAX East 2018 pieces. Yes, Moises.
In Jarrett's place, since he's not in the room, can I just request that we, from here on out, refer to him as the rap game Solid as Snake?
Yeah, sure.
Shout out to the rap game Solid as Snake.
Also the Black Lodge Panther. I love what Jarrett does with his Twitter. I just
super appreciative of these boys. They're killing it. Mike Birch is going to have some video previews up probably over the weekend, Saturday and Sunday. At least one will be up. We're recording some video tonight after this. Thank everybody for tuning in and watching either during the live stream or after the fact. This will be going up Tuesday. Obviously, it'll be after PAX East is well over. So if you missed any of this, IrrationalPassions.com is the place to check it out. Check out OK Beast and TrevorTrove.com and PlayStation Lifestyles and at Tyler Treese on Twitter for everything else. I am Alex O'Neill. here for you. We'll be back to our regularly scheduled show next week with the IP boys. Maybe we'll do a little bit of PAX catch up for anything else I played, but also keep an eye out for Input. There is a special recorded on the PAX show floor, well, not show floor, but recorded at PAX episode of Input, a little bit of a shorter show.
Show floor adjacent.
Show floor adjacent Input coming up very soon, hopefully over the weekend as well, if we can figure that out. But yeah, thank you everyone for listening. Thank you everybody for hanging out for the show. Either here in the room or watching live. I love you all. I've been your host, Alex O'Neill. Play your games, stay irrational. We'll talk to you all next week.